Hello, Empress Alecia here from the Draconian Empire. I know that it has been quite some time since I have made a video on this channel. I did make a second channel for our family called the Von Doom Family Channel, so there are a few videos of our kids up on that channel. But I wanted to come on and just do a very short few-minute video on what made me decide to get involved with micronationalism in the first place. Because when Victor, my husband, first brought this idea up to me, I thought it was a little out there, and I was not even sure it was something that could be done or was a real thing. I thought it sounded a little crazy, to be honest. I was like, Victor, couldn't we just start a nonprofit or something, you know, with a similar mission to help people? And through my life experience, it became clear to me that maybe more needed to be done than I wanted to think about. And one of the biggest life events that I had happen, which sort of changed my mind. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it, changed my mind. But one of the things that really made me think that micronationalism was important was seeing how powerless I felt in hospital settings. Whether it came to my own health, whether it came to the health of my son, who was born early, our son, who was born early and was in the NICU, or my father, a few years after that, who actually died in the hospital. Seeing how little power I had in this place that is essentially a big system and has lots and lots of rules and doesn't make a lot of exceptions for people. And seeing how my family was backed into a corner when my father was passing away, and how they sort of like used the type of insurance he had against us, and how there were research studies and things that he could have been a participant of, but they essentially refused to transport him. I can speak about these things now and sound relatively calm, but the way I felt at the time, the panic, the rage, the deeply personal pain that I was experiencing as someone who had chronic health issues and was being left behind by the system, as someone whose, you know, son needed emergency care, and the doctors were not necessarily treating Victor and I very well at the time, and we didn't really feel like we had a lot of choices as far as what was happening to our son. And then with my father, as an example, the doctors were pushing us to take him off of life support. He had had a stroke, and even though it very clearly had said that it could take weeks to months for my dad to regain, you know, like his muscle memory and ability to speak and things like that. After about the 2-week mark, from what I recall, maybe it was 3 weeks, but I really think it was like 2 weeks, the doctors were like, yeah, you know, he's not coming back online. He's not speaking, he's not really moving, he's pretty much brain dead, so we think that it's time. He's had a long enough life. And I'm being concise, but that's essentially what they said to us. This is, you know, after he spent a relatively short amount of time in the hospital, from our perspective, and after we have spoken to other doctors who've told us, you know, that that we're not at that point yet. And it was kind of clear that the head doctor had made that decision, and We tried to do everything we could to convince that doctor otherwise, and he just really backed us into a corner, and we didn't feel like we had a lot of power. And he was basically like, look, you guys can't afford to take him home. We wouldn't let you take him home anyway. And you can't afford a nursing facility, and his insurance won't pay for it. So this is kind of the option. And there's nothing like loving someone and doing all that you can to protect them, and it just not being enough. And the systems here in the United States are able to do these, they're able to make these kind of decisions every day. I'm not trying to make like an anti-doctor video or something, but when you know that your personal situation may require special attention, or maybe doesn't exactly fit the mold of what the standard is, and no one will listen to you, it's really unjust and it's unnecessary. I believe that we've removed the human element from so many things in our society that a lot of the pain that is caused by people in, say, a hospital setting, it's avoidable. You know, we could try harder to accommodate people, and we just don't. Because it takes time, and it's not as efficient, and it doesn't necessarily increase our profits here at the hospital or at the school or whatever large system that is kind of linked in with the government and possibly other large businesses or organizations, what have you. And so I don't want to get too much into those stories. I mean, if you want to hear more about those things, I'm happy to speak on them in a different video. But it was experiencing those things that showed me that the injustices of the world were, I don't want to say worth paying attention to, because I was paying attention already, but we were not safe in the world that we lived in, and really neither was anybody else. And that goes beyond just like physical problems. You know, there's only so much that people can do for certain things, certain types of diseases or accidents, what have you. But when pain is caused because of policy, and it almost seems intentional, and people are basically like, well, you know, that's just the way it is. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. There's enough pain in this world without choosing it. And in this case, we have people who are on top choosing what kind of pain is going to be delivered to people who are in emergency situations or in a hospital or in a school or whatever. And I know that there are lots of good people in those industries who try to make people's lives better and do the best that they can to improve people's lives. And that's awesome. But the reality is that, in my opinion, the systems and the rules and such that are set up to drive profit, are set up to help the business, not necessarily the consumer or the client, or whatever word you want to use. So I think it's important that people who are making policies are aware of this fact and are not intentionally making it worse. And I don't think that's what we have going on here in our country, and possibly in lots of other developed nations of the world. And I hope that the Draconian Empire can be a facet for good, a vehicle for good in this regard, and bring that human element back to a lot of the systems and larger pieces and parts of society. Because the way that things are going now, I don't think is the best for anyone, other than maybe stockholders, shareholders, those kind of people. And those aren't the people that should be deciding on the rules, right? Like, people who are affected by the rules should have a say. And if they aren't voting on that directly, then whoever is in charge of these types of policies needs to be someone who is of the people and who knows what it's like to be a common person. And too often in our society, we have people who are, who with the most power, who are not of the people at all, and who will never be affected by the policies that they create. And that's wrong. And I hope that we can put a stop to that. So thank you for talking with me. I would love to hear in the comments if there was a catalyst for you also becoming interested in micronationalism. I could see a lot of ways that that could happen for someone. So thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.